Hi, I'm Renarta Moyd, the Chief Communications Officer of the Cumberland County Schools and your host of Get Connected. Now, during this monthly show, we highlight numerous educational topics that face today's student, educator, and parent in the Cumberland County Schools. Now, more than 4,000 schools so far have chosen to teach International Baccalaureate, or IB, programs with their unique academic rigor and their emphasis on students' personal development. The Cumberland County school system has two. They're offered at Southview High School and most recently Ed V. Baldwin Elementary School. Now we'll discuss the IB program and really find out what it is on this edition of Get Connected.
She calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
That's
We appreciate you joining us for this edition of Get Connected. We're discussing the International Baccalaureate, or IB, programs at two of our schools. Now joining us to talk about the program at Baldwin Elementary School are Emilie Davenport, who is a teacher at Baldwin, and John Miller, who is the school's IB coordinator. Welcome. I'm glad you guys are hanging out with me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That's good. That's good. Now, explain to our viewers exactly what is IB, or International Baccalaureate.
So the IB program is a nonprofit organization, and our specific program is a primary years program, which is the IB program developed for 3 to 12-year-olds, which is the elementary age level students. And it's really a program that's driven by student inquiry and focuses on the development of the whole child, not just the intellect, but also the emotional and social and personal values of each child. And the goal is to have, when they leave our program, to have a international or global mindset. So.
Okay, and when you say a global mindset, what do you mean? Like to just know current affairs?
I don't know.
Okay, well, talk to us.
Our students are also learning about other cultures.
Okay.
And we have brought in, we have some international teachers at our school, which is very helpful. But we will take a unit and try and bring in a global piece to that unit, whether it be collecting money for another country for a need there or something like that. But we try to make it so they're outside their little Hope Mills and that there's a big, big world out there, and they become aware of that and be affected by it as well, and how we affect them and they affect us.
That's good. Now I know you all were part of our choice program in the past where you were a year-round school, and the shift has occurred, so you're now working and doing, IB. What made you all decide to go with IB as opposed to classical or some other choice?
Well, I think part of it is because we no longer had that special tag with us, and we feel at Baldwin that we've always been special, and we always be special in some way.
Right.
So we looked at some information, and we could see that a lot of our children just weren't connecting with school, and that's what kind of brought about the project-based part of it. That the kids would come to school when they knew they had a project, there was going to be something fun at school, and they would come and they'd be engaged. And we started the project-based learning part of it, and that kind of led us through some research that I think John did that led to this. There's an IB component of this for the younger children called Early Years Program. And then he looked further into that, and we decided this, brought it to the SIT team, and the SIT team said, this sounds like a great idea to help all our students, and it will give us a focus. And we have the support of the people that originally developed the program.
No, I know when we were in the green room, you and I had a conversation, Emilie, where you were pretty much talking about how you're a veteran teacher,
Yes.
25 years.
Yeah.
So you're looking at retirement. Hey! But you were saying that you felt as though this particular approach took you back to...
Absolutely.
Share with our viewers.
And for many years, we always think, it's math time, it's reading time, it's social studies time. The beauty of IB is that you take one standard, like we usually start with our social studies standard, but we bring our reading and our math into that. And it's integrating and it's interdisciplinary, and that's the way I was taught to teach a couple years ago. But it teaches the whole child, like John said, and we bring in the social aspect of it and the caring and the empathy, and all of these things are all part of, when we plan a unit, we're planning how can we bring in these affective parts of the student as well. I love it, and that's what I remember saying at the SIT meeting, is this is developmentally appropriate for all students because it is bringing the whole child into it, not just the left side of their brain or the right side of their brain. The whole child is in there. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how long has PYP, or the primary years program of IB, how long has that been around?
Since 1997 is when the PYP actually started. I think IB began in 1968.
Oh, wow.
And then, so it wasn't until a while later that they started the primary years program in 97. So
that's good. Now, what process are you all following or having to follow in order to become certified and become a PYP school?
So at the beginning, you really are, when you're doing your research, you fill out some applications and your intentions for your school, how it'll benefit your school. And once IB receives that, they put you into what's called a candidacy phase. And during that candidacy phase, which we're in right now, we're transitioning our school from where it was traditionally to what an IB school would require. And that involves training our staff and some unit development and communicating our thoughts and intentions with all the stakeholders for the school. And after that takes place, our goal is next year to have the IB authorization team come and assess our school and make us fully IB authorized.
Yeah, as a staff, we meet, I think it's every other Monday we have staff development, and John usually leads that. And we will meet with him as a group, and then we break off into our grade levels and we work on our units and develop the units and always have those in. There's always something going on. But it's kind of rigorous for the staff, but I think everyone has really bought into it as a school. And of course, we're also introducing all the language to our parents that we're using. We used to have a different mission statement, and now our mission statement has changed to reflect those learner profiles that we are instilling in our students.
And that's what I was going to ask you. How are your parents, because I know you mentioned earlier stakeholders, and I know that would be number one group would be parents. So how are they embracing and understanding the whole concept?
I think they like the idea of it, absolutely. I think they see the projects that the children are making, and thankfully, it's all done at school. So it's not like we're saying go home and do this. Okay. They're doing it at school so that everybody has the same playing field.
Materials and
everything is at school for them, and then we invite them to come. We had the IB Expo was just amazing. Really? At the end of our first unit that we did, we had an IB Expo where every classroom, we had this amazing rotation schedule, and every student walked around to see every project that was presented throughout the school, and every grade level had something presented, and the student would talk. And I was telling Mr. Miller about how we discussed afterwards as a grade level, which we thought about all the different presentations that we saw, and some of these students that you would think, wow, they got up, they memorized this, they stood in front of a camera, they spoke to all these people that they didn't know who they were. They got up in front of a crowd and spoke. It's just amazing.
Now, I'm curious, what was the unit about?
There was, each grade has a separate unit that they've developed. So one grade, it was third grade, they wanted to recreate Hope Mills. So they took up the whole cafeteria with these buildings and Legion Road, and they had all the landmarks, and each student and each group that they were in, they were each responsible for their own house, for their own neighborhood, And we're not talking cookie cutter type buildings, and they each had a landmark that they were responsible for as a group. And just to kind of echo what Emilie said, that's really the buy-in for a lot of the kids, because at the elementary level, grades really aren't a huge motivator. So when they know that they're participating in something authentic and that they're going to get to share that with others, then that's their motivation for really doing well and being successful. So it's really cool to see that in action.
Yeah, at our kindergarten we had our social studies standard had to do with maps. So we learned about maps, and the staff created, our grade level created a treasure map for them to follow.
Okay.
And then at the end was a treasure box, and in the box was the materials to make the quilt. And then we read a book about quilt making, and then we took the quilt that we made with fleece and took it to a local nursing home. So that was that piece where we're stepping outside Baldwin and we're giving to others. It was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is neat.
Yeah.
Now, from all of this, what do you all hope, how do you all hope the students will benefit?
First, that they will become lovers of learning, lifelong learning. That is our ultimate goal. We want them to be successful and be lifelong learners. And we're hoping that if we can snag them now when they're young, that they will want to come to school, because you just never know what's going to be going on at school.
Right.
That's one very important piece, is to get them engaged in loving to learn again.
That's good.
And to realize that there's something, I know we alluded to it earlier, that there's something bigger than themselves. That global mindset's so important, that they can realize that it's not just me and my family, but their thoughts, their actions, and what they create affects those around them in the
that
world.
ripple effect, yeah.
That's good. And you know what, something else occurred to me, and I think you kind of mentioned this a little earlier, Emilie, when you talked about having staff development. What has it meant in terms of getting our teachers to rethink or to think about their involvement with IB and how to get this information, make it come alive for the kids?
I think they've all really, like I said, bought into it. Deep in our hearts, we've always known we want to teach the whole child, but sometimes we weren't. There was some constraints out there that kept us from doing what we wanted to do. This is one piece that I think I said to Mr. Yardis, that I like how we can take our standards and marry it so happily with what IB expects of us as well, and that unit and the profiles, and we can put it together in a happy union. And I think everybody's feeling that. I mean, obviously it's new, it's different. We're going through some growing pains,
Right.
But we realize the end product is going to be so worth it, that we've all just really like it. Yeah.
That's great. I tell you, you know what? It's time for our break.
Okay.
I hate that you guys are gonna no longer be with. You're gonna come back.
Okay.
Definitely,
you come
definitely.
back
You
and
come to
you'll-
Baldwin.
We'll come to Baldwin. Maybe we can bring the cameras to Baldwin.
That would be
Gosh,
awesome.
that'd be awesome.
And you know, I have to talk to the EP and see if she's okay with that. But nonetheless, we bring them to Baldwin, and we get the opportunity to kind of see some of the things that you guys are doing.
That'd be great.
That'd be amazing.
I'm so glad, and I wish you all the very best with the program.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Well, don't go anywhere. Stick around for more Get Connected.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts? Yes, you.
You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration,
absorb
a
what
tool,
people are giving you.
not an obstacle.
It's
I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible.
And then we're gonna turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Finally won.
What's your reaction gonna be? Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
Little tadpoles, frogs, spiders, this is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected. We're talking about the ever-rigorous International Baccalaureate program in the Cumberland County Schools. So joining me during the latter half of our show are Southview High School Principal Brian Edkins and his school's IB Academy Director, Dawn Curle. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so now you all are in the hot seat.
Absolutely.
Emily and John are gone. Now
Yep.
it's Dawn and Brian. All right, that's a good thing. Now, what is the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program, or the IB Diploma Program?
Okay. The diploma program is geared towards students who are 16 to 19 years old. It's the third in the series of the IB program. Baldwin Elementary is doing the primary years. There is also a middle years program, and we are called Diploma Program. And it starts at our school junior and senior year. We do have some 9th and 10th grade cohorts to kind of prepare the students for IB, but it's strictly for those students who want to engage themselves in a way that's international, that focuses on the student holistically, and it allows the students to grow not just physically, but intellectually, emotionally, and we have a part that focuses on the ethics. And IB, it is an international program. There are over 1.5 million students worldwide enrolled in the International Baccalaureate program. And we have about 160 enrolled at Southview.
That's great. Now, what does the program look like? I mean, you know, we hear critical thinking and rigorous, and but I mean, to the average person like me, what is that? What will that mean? What does it look like on an average day? Like, I mean, do you all do, as we talked with the elementary school representatives, projects? I mean,
the PYP does a culminating project school-wide. Our students have to do, we have a hexagon of six core classes. And the students who are full diploma have to take all 6 classes. And it's in English, history, math, science, foreign language, and an elective. But what makes IB look different than a regular classroom is in the center they have what is called the core. And that is students do an extended essay of 4,000 words. We call it the doctorate thesis of high school. They have to take a class called Theory of Knowledge, and it's literally a class that teaches kids how do they know what they know and how do they know that's what they know. And it also connects all the disciplines together on how they all connect. And then finally we have what we call CAS, which is Creativity, Activity, and Service. So when you come to Southview and look in the IB Academy, you see students doing extensive research. You see students planning community service projects or artistic projects. You see students organizing events. You see students in the hallway practicing speeches. It's a very hands-on environment for us where we like to take learning and have the students learn in ways that are not traditional and in ways that they can show their strengths that may not be traditional in a normal classroom.
And to add a little bit, one of the things that we've also done, created a hybrid schedule where most of the kids at Southview are on a 4x4. We do year-long classes with them. And some of the benefits there with some of the intense readings that they have to do, instead of getting through all the books in 90 days, they now have 180 days. And so they'll have an A day where they may go to a social studies class, and on a B day they'll come to Dawn in English, but they're with them throughout the year. We found out that's really been beneficial, especially at the end of the year assessments that they take.
That's good. Now, you at the helm of all this is the principal. How do you keep all of this going and understanding what's going on, like, in the school?
Right. Well, and here's the thing. Bob Barnes taught me a long time ago, you got to hire good people, get them in the right place, get them what they need, then get out of the way and let them do their job. And Dawn's been a savior. She's done an outstanding job with it. She oversees it. She'll come in and she'll give me briefings, you know, and the state of the union of IB, and this is what we need to do, and I need to send this person to training. And the good thing about Dawn, she's aggressive, and she'll come to the point and say, this is what I need. This is, if we're going to do this, this is what needs to be done. I need this wing of the school. I need AB day with these classes. I need this teacher to go to St. Pete in June for training, and she makes it happen a lot. So there's a lot going on, but she does a great job communicating with her staff, because as we start talking about some of the assessments coming up, there's a lot of deadlines and timelines, and because you're using the same kids, you don't want to overwhelm them all one week and have everything due the same week. So she's great at the organizational piece and the communicating piece with not just me as the principal, but also with her IB teachers.
That's good. I know the other year, I think it was maybe last year, I brought a community group into, it's out to Southview, and we had the privilege of being able to observe the students in their IB environment.
Sure.
And I remember, I hope you don't mind, Brian, if I do this, but I remember your son, Caleb, was a part of that. Was it when he made the guitar?
Yeah, that was with the senior project, but he made a bass guitar, and he got with our Fundamentals of Technology teacher, Mr. Vincile, and when I say made a guitar, I was thinking he was going to come out with a tin can, and they pressed the wood, sanded it, wired it, soldered it, put the strings on, and just did an outstanding job. But yeah, there's a lot of, you know, as we get through assessments, there's a lot of like project-based learning going on, and you know, he learned more probably of the electronical piece of music, which he's always been a fan of music, but just putting that together, it's just been amazing.
And that's part of becoming the expert on what you're researching. That's great. I remember there were other students that were doing other things there, so that was really interesting.
We are fortunate, and you know, I appreciate what Brian said about me, but I couldn't do it without his support. And I think it has helped making a real community in one section of the school, because the kids have a place to go. You know, we have a place for them to study, to chill out, to relax. You know, all our teachers are right there, so they're available for tutoring during lunch. So it's a really tight-knit atmosphere.
And it helps the teachers too with like a PLC, you know, a learning community where they can talk to each other and improve.
That's good. And now, for a student to be a part of the program, what are the requirements?
Okay, that's a good question. Most of the academies in Cumberland County, you have to have a 2.5. We would like them to have a 3.0 now, but we don't put all the eggs in one basket, okay? We don't look at just their GPA. We also go on teacher recommendations. We look at how they've done in past courses, past tests. We also have an interview process where the academy director and the IB teachers sit down and they interview the students. Even though it's a rigorous program, you know, earlier I said IB for all, we believe that. We think that sometimes you can get these kids in there that may not have performed well on a state test or may not have done well in the class because they didn't connect with the teacher, and you get them into something like IB where all the kids are excited to learn, and the next thing you know, they just blossom. You know, so we like them to have a 3.0, but if they don't have a 3.0, we do have a little flexibility, but there's many different things that we look at before we admit or deny a student.
That's good. And is there a type of student, you know, that would, any particular type of student that's normally attracted to the IB program?
Those that are serious about learning, I think, is probably the only thing. We have an eclectic group. We were talking about that. We have everything from the jocks to the nerds to the beauty queen to the cheerleaders. You know, it's amazing. If you looked at a picture, you're like, oh, that's not what I would think. You know, you think of the old Apple picture where all the, you know, people were together, the creators of Apple. But we have a very eclectic group. It's just not a one-size-fits-all, because as Don was talking about the 6 different areas, you know, you may have some kids that are really into foreign language, really into the arts program, you know, so we get a bunch of different people.
I mean, the bottom line is any student who wants to be successful in high school, to be prepared for college, to take their academics seriously. You don't have to be an Einstein, you don't have to be a genius, you just got to be willing to work hard and work to your potential as a student.
Now, if there's a parent that lives, that sees this particular option as a choice for their child, and the child is maybe, let's say, in the 9th grade and not a junior or a senior, do they come and enroll like immediate? I mean, as a ninth grader?
We would
Or
like them to, yeah,
path?
and partly because we have some pre-IB courses, and what we try to do is start that cohort very early. So a lot of the ninth graders, they'll be taking English honors with the same teachers, or the groups that they would advance through as they go through. We try to get them in as quickly as possible, and they talked about earlier with language, as they start to learn the IB language. But yeah, we want them there as ninth graders and finish off as seniors.
We are very accelerated in the math and sciences. Our students have 4 maths and 4 sciences by the end of 10th grade.
Wow.
So that helps, the earlier the better, because if you get a student coming in junior year who hasn't already had that, it kind of puts them at a disadvantage to get the full diploma. They can be a course candidate, but it's hard to get the diploma.
And same thing with some of the foreign languages.
And I'm sure when students come through this program, this sets them up for, in that junior year or what have you, when they're looking at college. This sets them up really good, huh?
Yes.
Pretty good.
IB is internationally respected. All the major colleges all over the world accept IB and IB credits. Our students do take examinations. They do both internal and external assessments to get an overall IB score. And those scores do transfer to college credit.
We've had some go in as sophomores, their first year of college. And when you start talking about being a parent and taking out loans and everything else, 1 year of college sure does make a difference.
We had a student get 23 credit hours at Chapel Hill.
At Chapel Hill.
Tar Heels, but yeah, that's good. Yay, that's good.
And our kids we have a 100% acceptance rate and graduation rate. We have a student accepted to Yale this year, so it really does prepare them. And the level of work they do makes the transition to college so much easier for them.
That's good.
And one of the nice things, they have to take these assessments, which traditionally were very expensive. And the state legislature actually passed now that they will pay for these tests. So when you were talking about kids used to have to pay $800 to be in the IB program to take these different assessments, now the state's paying for them. So, that also, I think Don would agree, encourages some kids to take some extra tests, extra courses. So,
to get that credit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm looking at the clock on the wall, and I hear the producers telling me we gotta go. But I have enjoyed talking about it. Has given me such insight.
Absolutely.
So if you see a baby Moyd pop up on your campus,
there you go. We'll take them under our wing. But,
well, thanks for the opportunity.
Well, and the nice thing is, if anybody ever wants to come and shadow one of our students, if you're in 7th, 8th grade and you're like, hey, is IB for me? What we do is we set up a shadowing thing, let them walk through the building, go with the IB student for a day, and a lot of times after they leave, they're like, I want to sign up. And having both boys, both of my sons are in IB, I'm not just a principal, I'm a father of IB, so I support it 100%.
That's a good thing. On behalf of the Cumberland County School System, we want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of our show and for giving us a chance to help you get connected. Until next time.